And that's why we're at Oshkosh this year talking with pilots. We've probably spoken with about 150, so far, and about 99, all but maybe 3 of those, have had one or multiple reports from their time flying, personally or professionally. So, one, I'm seeing the stigma, reduction real time here at Oshkosh, and it's showing that there is more and more of this than perhaps, even I had thought. Right? I've been making estimates that we've been receiving maybe 5% of reports, but you can just see that, this is something that people are starting to be more willing to talk about.
I came to EAA AirVenture Oshkosh with one question. What has actually changed for pilots reporting unidentified objects in American airspace? Has the stigma finally broken? Welcome back to Alien Wisconsin. I'm Ian Stephen, and today we're going to go on a little bit of a wild goose chase. Today I'm heading up to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the EAA Air Show, where Ryan Graves will be a speaker and will be at a booth. We're hoping that we can get a chance to meet him and ask him some questions. You may remember Ryan Graves from his 2023 appearance in front of Congress.
I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight 3 critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses, and is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony.
Hey, I'm stopped at a Wisconsin Classic quick trip on my way to Oshkosh, and I kind of wanted to talk about why Ryan is such an inspiration. I mean, I find him really amazing largely because he conquered his own stigma. He went very public with his, the things that he has seen and the pilots he's talked to. He doesn't seem to see these issues as something necessarily extraterrestrial. He's just there for the safety. The description that he gave, that he and the other pilots saw, was a black sphere in a clear cube floating in U.S. airspace. So I really appreciate all the work he's done, and he always keeps his claims very grounded and scientific. I just wanted to throw that out there because I was thinking about that while I was driving, is like why he's so special and so unusual. He's like laser focused on the goal. He's laser focused on the problem, and he's really, the work he's doing will make air travel safer for all Americans, and actually for everyone in the world. You don't want these things in space and, airplanes potentially hitting them or pilots not reporting them. So I'm just really excited to meet him, and I hope this goes well. I really do. It's also possible, like, he'll be busy, that he won't want to be on camera. I have no idea. I wish I could actually tell you I have some secret agreement with him. I don't. I'm kind of winging it. I hope it works out. Fingers crossed and all that, but it may not. So doing my best. Well, I'm finally here at the Oshkosh EAA Air Show, and I'm really excited. There are several thousand people here. There are helicopters flying over every few seconds, just like that one. I don't know if you saw that. There are vintage aircrafts everywhere. It's like 100 years of aviation history all in one. This is nothing like the other events I go to for Alien Wisconsin. This is not contact modalities. This is not a paranormal convention at all. There's thousands and thousands of real, regular people, and then there's a whole class of professional pilots and those who work in the airspace. So this is going to be a really kind of a different feel for our channel, but also a different feel for meeting someone like Ryan, because he's going to be talking to a professional audience that is not interested in the UFO or UAP topic. So it'll be really interesting to see how he bridges the gaps between those two audiences. Is he effective? Are people receptive to his message? We keep hearing that Americans are more and more aware of the concept of UFOs in our skies, but does that actually translate to the real world? Are pilots going to be receptive of an air safety message about UFOs and UAPs? I guess we're going to find out.
My name is Ryan Graves, former F-18 pilot and executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace.
The public kind of became aware of you in 2023. How has your life changed personally and professionally in those 3 years since?
Certainly. Well, professionally, the information that we received after I testified, the more work opportunities there were to engage this through collaborations both in the House and the Senate and across different organizations, the executive branch increased. And so, we found ourselves in a position to be able to leverage information that we were receiving to be able to provide actionable data around national security and aviation safety issues. So, it's hard to ignore that when you have those opportunities. So, of course, I've leaned into that, which, certainly wasn't on my 10-year employment plan, you could say.
Anything personally?
Obviously doing this has a personal cost and risk associated with it, but ultimately, it hasn't had a very large negative effect. If anything positive, I've got a lot of new opportunities. I've had the opportunity to be a trusted voice in this, and people share things with me that, they share with very little people sometimes. And it's a very unique privilege to be in a position like that, and especially in a position like that nowadays where the government is, in my opinion, moving in the right direction to be able to help us all understand what those experiences mean.
You just said that the government is moving in the right direction. Do you feel that the stigma for pilots reporting has decreased at all in those 3 years?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, it had already begun to decrease quite a bit even prior to the hearing in 2023. But afterwards, even so much more. And that's why we're at Oshkosh this year talking with pilots. We've probably spoken with about 150, so far. And about 99, all but maybe 3 of those, have had one or multiple reports from their time flying personally or professionally. So one, I'm seeing the stigma, reduction real time here at Oshkosh, and it's showing that there is more and more of this than perhaps, even I had thought, right? I've been making estimates that we've been receiving maybe 5% of reports, but you can just see that, this is something that people are starting to be more willing to talk about.
So when a pilot reports a UAP to your organization, does it also include the other data like the radar, the IR video, the sensor logs?
No, for the most part. So sensor logs, IR data, those are the terms that we would expect to receive from a military reporter, for one. There is official reporting within military channels now, and most of the information you just listed would likely be classified. So no, we don't accept that information. For the commercial pilot reports we receive, it's typically just a pilot who's seen something. They don't have fancy radar systems and whatnot to use inside the cockpit. And so it's eyeballs and maybe some iPhone camera, or maybe, something a little bit better that they might be flying with. But really, it's incumbent on us at that point, if we want to try to run down radar data or communications recordings or anything else that might be prevalent, either us or if there was a formalized process with the government, they would have easy access information as well. So the commercial reports can help us identify what happened when and where we should look for additional information, but we're not just getting a plethora of, they're not going to do our homework for us, right? And we wouldn't expect them to, because, this isn't their job necessarily.
Does any of this information ever become public, what's reported to the government or reported to your organization?
From ours, yes, we are publicly sharing our reports both on our website, as well as I'm conducting interviews with our witnesses on our podcast at Safe Aerospace on YouTube. As far as reports that go into the government, ultimately I don't know, right? But they have, of course, started the Pursuit program, which is a organized way to release information through the National Archives and then further through the Department of War's website. And they have been doing that on a semi-regular basis for the past month and a half or so at this point. Yes, it's been a bit underwhelming at this moment, but I do expect that to continue, and I would suspect it to perhaps get more compelling as time goes on.
So you've backed the Safe Aerospace for Americans Act for several years now. since it hasn't passed, what are pilots and investigators missing right now because those reforms are not in place?
Well, it's just like you said, what happens to that information when it gets submitted to the Department of Defense or elsewhere? Answer is it doesn't come back out, and it certainly doesn't come back out through the aviation safety channels where it's most needed. One of the most fundamental tenets of aviation safety is open communication about issues, so much so that, in fact, pilots have immunity against prosecution during investigation or accident investigations, so that they're, incentivized and compelled to tell the truth so that we can resolve those issues in the future. But this one issue, right, it's hey, we don't want to talk about it. And if pilot reports are coming in to law enforcement and are ultimately being withheld from the aviation safety community, then we're not at the end state that we need to be at quite yet.
So if Congress handed you one page to add to the NDAA UAP legislation that's actually been moving forward, I don't know if you're aware of that, but if they said, Ryan, I want you to add one page for aerospace safety, what would you put in that one page, assuming it would pass?
We would mandate a modification to the aviation safety reporting system that's maintained by NASA, funded by the FAA, to accept these reports. That could be a centralized database for aviation reports that can both then get received by law enforcement, but are also part of a public aviation safety catalog that other pilots can review and be integrated into the rest of the community. And the second thing I would do on that is designate UAP as a defined aviation safety hazard. That would then classify UAP as a workplace hazard for pilots and protect them under existing workplace protection safety laws to enable them to report without fear of retribution from their employer.
For pilots and researchers and people who followed this issue for years, is there any reason to be optimistic?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think this conversation has ever reached the point it's at today. There's a lot of formal activity going on within various branches of various agencies of the executive branch in a way that's unprecedented. I would suggest even historic in some cases. I think we're going to be seeing the fruits of that work in the near future, or at least learning more about it. And these are the people that are there to respond to the president's direction as far as the release of this information. So it wasn't necessarily just shouting into the void. There has been a lot of investment, time, and effort to stand up the proper structures in order to really sink the teeth in the way that I think we would all want the president to do so.
All right, well, anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. That was great. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining me on Alien Wisconsin. And special thanks to Ryan Graves for the interview, and especially for the work he's doing on pilot reporting and aviation safety. Let me know what you think in the comments. Between the House vote and the new files coming out, transparency feels closer than it's ever been. Glad you're along for it.